like having conversations like this, it's really important to be transparent, because I know for myself, like I look at a lot of things and people gloss over the fact that entrepreneurship is hard.
Welcome to episode 175 of the Black in Fashion podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We have a season full of just amazing guests. I have one right next to me right now. This is Shaw, a Strut model. She owns a Black-owned modeling organization right here in Brooklyn. She focuses on diversity and inclusion. So we're going to get into a little bit of Shaw's story, her journey, her background, what she's currently working on. But of course, if you guys know us, you know we don't start any podcast without our little icebreaker or this or that. Okay, so it's real easy. It's just what you prefer over the other thing. So let's see, mules or wedges?
Mules.
Motorcycle jackets or blazers?
Blazers.
Side boob or under boob?
Side boob.
Hoops or studs?
Studs.
Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
The way you say you was Nike.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Or the overcoats or trench coats?
Trench.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Shall, tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, and when that fashion bug kind of bit you.
So I am from Trinidad originally, Trinidad and Tobago. I was born there, and I moved to the U.S. a very long time ago, over 20 years ago. And I guess it's hard to answer this because I'm like, the bug didn't bite me.
You didn't get bit? Okay.
No.
Tell us.
Yeah, no, I wasn't one of those people that grew up like loving fashion, wanting to be a part of it. Like that's not my story at all.
Okay.
So I think the bug biting me, the way I think of it is not like by choice. Right?
Did they push you because you were tall?
Yes.
Okay, so you were pushed into it.
So
they pushed you into the water.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So that's my thing.
Okay.
It's,
so how did that happen?
So when I first moved here, I kept getting asked, like, are you a model? Are you a model? And people kept asking me that. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. Or are you a basketball player? Right. So, and I still get those questions to this day, which is always like a lot to answer. But so I just kind of started my journey after hearing that question so many times. I did try for basketball, and that was not successful. So I went the modeling route, and it really just started with me, going to modeling schools, just trying to, figure out that direction. At the time, I couldn't afford it, so we didn't pursue that path. But then I moved to Maryland and met some people at a mall, and then took a few classes, and then it kind of spiraled from here. I moved back to New York, and then when I started going to high school there, I got connected with a makeup artist that worked at a salon, and we started just getting the thing started. Yeah, it's not a romantic, sexy story at all.
Because I've heard, trust me, I've heard a lot of different types. So some people who this didn't become their thing until a year ago, or like, because it happens, because like, and that's what we kind of go through in life. Sometimes we're put into things because of others, but then sometimes it comes from us. But before people start asking you to be a model, what were you doing? Like, was there anything in particular that you were already passionate about?
So as a little girl in Trinidad, I always said I want to be a lawyer. Like I loved Joan from Girlfriends, Tracy Ellis Ross, like my like idol. I'm like, I'm just gonna be like Joan, So that's really where my ambitions were. And then I moved here, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna really still pursue that. So I have my bachelor's degree in criminology.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I've been considering going to law school for a really long time. I probably still might.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up doing the fashion law boot camp over the summer. It was only
Mm-hmm.
for a week. It was at the Fordham Law School, but I really enjoyed it. I'm like, you know what? When I'm done with this mess, I might have to take my butt to law school, take the LSAT because I'm very interested in more intellectual property. But you're interested in like criminal justice.
So yeah, that I mean, I'm talking about like, see, I watched CSI, Lock Up, Lockdown, Locked Up Abroad, like anything where people are in prison, I'm
Okay.
there, except what's that show? Locked Up, Love After Lockup. That's gone too
Oh.
far. It's gone too far. So I don't watch that, but I've just always been passionate. So one of the things I wanted to do, because at one point I was like, okay, I'm not gonna become a lawyer because really just want to read that much.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I don't know. So I thought I would do become an investigative journalist. So
Nice.
Lisa Ling, I love the work that she, was doing at the time, and um, so I was like, okay, I could maybe like Lisa Ling because I still wanted to have like access to prisons. There's
Mm.
a weird fascination. Like I want to be able to go talk to them, but like I want to be able to get out. Like, I don't
Gotcha.
want to do a shift, because
Hmm.
seriously, I also considered like maybe I'll be a corrections officer. I had this huge obsession. It was weird.
Hmm.
And so that's really what I thought I was gonna be doing with my life. Something in the criminal justice setting.
Gotcha. So then you ended up in entrepreneurship. So I'm assuming that you went through a lot of different trials and tribulations as a model, which probably kind of geared you towards wanting to create a service or create a space for models. So can you tell me a little bit about your modeling journey and what that looked like, just being a black model? I
Yeah.
know it's very challenging. I watched Beth Ann's
Oh
movie,
yes,
and
yes.
I went to the theater by myself to see it, and I was just like, oh, and I learned a lot about like the Black Girl Coalition and all these different things. So tell me about like your journey as a black model.
Yeah. So after as we say in my country, spend top in mud, right? Like, so I was spinning top in mud, meaning I was getting nowhere.
Spend top in
No,
mud.
no, nowhere fast.
Mhm.
Eventually, I signed my contract very late in life, like a modeling contract.
Mhm.
I was 22 at the time, which is back then, like
Mhm.
a very long time ago, that was like unheard of. Like, no, because you would start your career at 14, 15, even 13, right? The
Oh
laws were
wow.
different before.
Okay.
So I signed my first contract at 22. I was already married. And my like professional experience,
Mhm.
was me going to castings, but it was really at a time like you saw highlighted in Beth Ann's film, and even what they did with that 6-part documentary on YouTube about the Supreme models.
Mhm.
Um, they it was at that time where black models were kind of erased, not kind
Mhm.
of, they really were erased from the fashion world.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
saw that.
yeah, and so that was the time that I was coming up in, and it was hard. You had to be told, like there was many situations I was in where it was like no black girls allowed, like people were putting this on breakdowns. It's quite the
Really
opposite now, which is so wild how things have turned. But
interesting.
those were really, what was being said. I would go to things, wouldn't be seen, like not even like be let in.
Mm.
So those were painful memories for me. And it's kind of like why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now, just because I always say the work that I do at Strut is purposeful and personal. I kind of
Mhm.
have, it's a little bit vengeful.
Mm. It should be though.
So,
I feel the same way about my business because it's
yeah,
like you don't want to let black designers in. Don't worry, I'm about to kick down the goddamn door. So
yeah,
I do that a lot, and I make sure I'm very vocal about it in everything that I do. Like I love being the only black girl in the room when we're talking about like American brands, and I was just like, oh, we're not gonna have this conversation without African American brands.
yeah,
So I love being able to just like pop us in there and be like that, very much so a disruptor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that really was my experience. I think it still plays in my mind every time I have these conversations. Just I remember one experience so vividly. I can see the street corner I was standing on. I remember calling my best friend at the time, crying. And like so imagine me, I'm in my 20s going through this, right? Like think about being a young girl in that situation. It's very, very, very traumatic. But I remember like going to the casting and like not even being able to leave my they wouldn't even take my headshot. You know, it's just so painful. And the sad thing is that the designer is a Black designer, very well known now. And
Really?
yeah,
Who is it?
We're
uncut. I'm uncut over here. Who is it? If you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, you know, so it was Laquan Smith before he became, yeah, and
shocking.
Yeah, that still hurts my heart. And you know, we haven't worked with the brand yet at Strut, but I always have this vision of me like showing up with one of my girls to one of the shows, you know, and kind of having. I don't know what it would mean.
There's definitely some gatekeeping within our own community, without doubt. Like there's 100%. a whole bunch of their asses. I love to put their ass on blast. Yeah. I really, really do. Like I cannot wait until this shit just goes. Yeah, people need to know.
Yeah, and you know what I will say too, as now on this side as an agency owner and even having experiences with designers, I don't want to come to their defense because I do think that if it is your brand, you have autonomy over it and you can be a decision maker. But one experience that I had like two seasons ago with a Black designer, she used one of our models as the muse, right? She used her as the muse for her collection, and they were doing a huge show in Dumbo. And she sent me the invitation, and I was like, "Oh, great! Well, when is the casting?" And she was like, "Oh, the casting is this date, but I don't. It's going through a casting director, and I don't know what agencies they're working with." So I connect that back to the Laquan thing of like,
you know.
No, right.
She know, like she knows. You know, even if you hire a casting director or whatever, you can absolutely, as a designer, say, work with this agency. I want to work with this agency. So she tried to throw it off on a casting director like she didn't have shit to do with it.
Exactly. Okay, she threw it off on a casting director, and she's like, so I'm saying to myself, of course, at the very least, the girl who the entire collection is made after should be in the show.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. And then you should give an opportunity to the agency that the model is a part of to participate.
Absolutely.
So
who was that?
Oh God, what is her name? My brain. It's like,
is she based here?
She is based here. She was in the Maid class 2023.
Damn.
Oh gosh.
I have no idea. Was it Sammy B?
No, not Sammy B.
Okay, because I was like, better not, because Sammy always got the girls in her shit.
Yeah, no, not Sammy B. Oh my
Broken
gosh.
Land?
No.
I have no idea. We gonna figure it out.
They did this. The show was in Dumbo. It was like 2 years ago. Oh my gosh.
It's okay. When it come back, we'll
no, I can't remember. But anyway, so that Laquan thing happened, and I was on the corner crying. I remember it to this day. And yeah, so that's why I do the work that I do, because I just know the pain and the hurt
that goes
of being there. Yeah.
So as we segue into segment 2, we're going to get a little bit more into her entrepreneurship journey and learning a little bit more about Strut models and different things that are currently going. All right, so as we segue into segment 2, I have a question. So the question is called, the segment is called, is it a success or is it a disaster? Can you tell? So tell me about a time in your business thus far where something went really bad, like really to shit, but you learned something from the experience and it made you a better business owner.
So I'm there now. It went to shit. Down the toilet. Oh my gosh. Okay. Flushed, never to be recovered.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, no, well, I'll start by saying that, you know, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. And entrepreneurship where you are now providing salaries and you have like staff and those kinds of things, is definitely another level. And so I'm grateful to have been in that position where, I led a team and all of that. Um, but where I am now, and I can answer the end of your question in terms of like what I've learned, is that I didn't know a lot of things about entrepreneurship, right? Like you have passion and you have vision, and those things are great. But process and procedures are equally as important.
SOPs. I learned that the hard way too.
Yeah. SOPs are absolutely necessary in everything. And just, I mean, like as a small business, like the proper hiring practices, you know what I mean? Interviewing, like how to vet the best candidate for the position and things like that. So I've learned so much, but I also know that I've learned, I think I got caught up in the trap of, because I read a lot. Well, I do a lot of audibles rather. So I'm consuming information all the time, always seeking to like develop further as a professional. And for a long time, I would hear like, in anything that I was reading or listening to, you want to hire people that know more than you, right?
Yeah, I heard that often.
And so in my business, what I found is that I was getting people that supposedly knew more. And so I gave over autonomy to them, thinking that
I did that shit too.
Yeah, thinking that like, oh, well, you've worked for so and so for so long, like you should know this. You have how many years in the game?
Them.
Trusting too soon without any proof of concept.
Same here.
Yeah. Oh man,
that's learning lesson for your ass when you pushed out so much money in payroll and shit is fucked up, girl.
Oh yeah. Don't let it. I mean, God. I literally, so this year it snowballed. Like what do they call avalanche? Like it's an avalanche. I heard that.
It's like junior high.
Yeah, it was like avalanche. Look, honey, and everything got buried alive. Okay, under the snow.
Pompeii.
Look,
the whole city had
just done. Okay. And so this year, full transparency, because I think also, like having conversations like this, it's really important to be transparent, because I know for myself, like I look at a lot of things and people gloss over the fact that entrepreneurship is hard, but you need like tangible experiences and things that happened and how people recovered, or if they haven't, right? Like it's a learning lesson for others that are listening. So, this year, everything went downhill, fast and furious. And
your analogy is hilarious.
No, I'm telling you, look,
you said fast
and furious. And so, I just had to. Now I could sit. I'm really kind of sitting in gratitude, to be honest, just because I'm like, there have only been a handful of Black women that have been able to run modeling agencies in a large market like New York. So though things, kind of went in a different direction, I can be proud that I'm in that category. And on the back end, just learning like what not to do again, not putting people in position that don't belong there. But what I was going to say fundamentally also is that and it's so hard for me to admit this, but I think it could help somebody, like trusting yourself and your capabilities, right? And it wasn't until the end that I got to the point where I was like, irregardless of how much ever experience you've had and all whatever you've done, I hired you.
Facts.
Right. So clearly I know enough
Mm-hmm.
to be putting money in your pockets on a consistent basis to help you feed your family.
Mm-hmm.
And some might think that that like is arrogant or whatever, but at the end of the day,
No, I don't think that's arrogant at all. That is very, I think that is very, very much so something that needs to be said. And I don't think it comes from. So in 2020,
mm-hmm.
at the top of the year, I was by myself. And then by the time like February rolled around, I had one employee. March, I had two. April, I had four. June, I had seven. By August, I had fucking 12. That is a lot of money in payroll. And when I tell you I wasted so much money because of exactly what you just said, the trusting of them
Mm-hmm.
with, it's like trusting them with your company.
Yeah.
Trusting them with the operations, the clients, trusting with them. But then at the end of the day, anything that negative happens comes back on to you.
Yeah.
And I just, when I tell you how pissed I was just like, damn, I trusted these people and they let me the fuck down.
Yeah.
They almost ruined, well, not almost, I mean, they did, because I ended the year like in the whole like negative like 50 something $1,000 when we had such like a great year. And I'm just like, Lenise, what are you doing? You stepped too far back. You gave out too much trust.
Yeah.
Too soon. So
yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it's something that needs to be talked about, especially, you know, as women of color, you know, because we're growing so fast in terms of starting businesses and then, you know, being in positions to have, you know, employees or work with independent contractors or whatever, basically put money in people's pockets
All the time.
you know, that they're able to feed their families. And a lot of times we're at our sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Like
we're in the negative.
We're in the negative.
Can't pay our bills, but everybody else good.
But the 1st and the 15th,
everybody getting paid.
You get that check is clearing,
Yeah.
you know? And what I realized for myself is it really came down to worthiness. Like, did I believe that I was worthy, you know, to be in the position that I was in, right? Because think about it. I come from not, you know, wanting to model, signing a contract late in my life, didn't really have like not having an opportunity to have a career materialize because of the era we were in, all of these things, right? So this I guess imposter syndrome of like, how are you running a modeling agency but you didn't really have a successful modeling career? Crazy, because no, 99% of the people that own modeling agencies have never modeled. So like, what are you talking
You
about?
know what's crazy? I never thought about that, because I'm just like, I don't have like a super successful like fashion brand, but yet I teach designers. But it's like, my focus has always been in the study, in the case studies, the education. I've worked for a lot of brands, but I myself don't have like this big luxurious fashion brand. But I do help people build their own, because I know some coaches have never played basketball. Some of the best coaches have never played basketball. So I never even thought about it like that.
But this is where you get into this imposter syndrome and you self-sabotage and all of the things. And so when you operate from that space, then you end up in shit.
you end what you talk about, like not trusting yourself.
Not trusting myself. And it wasn't until I started, you know, really going through, like, you know, we're both Goldman girls, right? Graduated from that prestigious Goldman Sachs
10,000
program.
Small businesses, cohort 36. What's up?
Yes, cohort 41 in the building. But and it was with it was in the negotiations class with Maury, which is really therapy.
Oh yeah,
like
a mug.
Like,
did you read a book?
Oh yeah,
cover to cover. I would have my head buried in that book.
Yes, there's Audible.
Yes, I love me some Maury.
Yeah. And it was in that class that I really started realizing, like, okay, yeah, you need to increase your worthiness around the work that you're doing. And I don't know that the people that I, you know, had on my team sense that in any way. I don't think that they did, but just the way that things, like how everything unfolded, was a clear example that for me, you know, one of the things that I love, and a bunch of successful entrepreneurs say this, and one of them is Sarah Blakely, about hiring slow and firing faster.
Oh yeah.
Hire slow, hire fast.
Slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when I used to work for Akira Chicago boutique, and I was a store manager. And
Akira,
for somebody else's company,
Akira.
everything you have on is Akira?
This jacket, these
really?
boots, not these
Okay.
pants. Yeah,
So
Akira's life.
I opened the store in Hyde Park in Chicago, and it was the first store to be in a black neighborhood, black staff, black managers, black everything.
That might be the first Akira that I ever shopped at, to be honest.
And that was my store. And the funny thing about it is they called me the fireman because I didn't fuck around there, but it was my job then. I don't know why in my personal business I got stuck in this space of like giving people all these chances, where when I worked for a company and I knew my ass was on the line when it came to sales and the way it goes, I was quick to be like, oh nope, get her out of here. I was like that then. I don't know why that shit went out the window in my own business.
No, it's so funny that you're saying that, because I mean, I've been doing Strut for 11 years. So, and then I've had small stints of other things in between. But it's true. Like when it's not your thing, you're other people's, managing other people, like you're on the ball and with yourself. But I really think, and I could be wrong, but therapists tap in, I could, I think it really just comes down to what we believe that we like what we deserve, and that's really in an essence. So yeah, I went around the world in I to say that I am in a phase of reconfiguration, like deciding what Strut looks like, because to your point back earlier about, having all these people and then they come and they ruin your shit, right? That you worked for, blood, sweat, and tears, like you laid the groundwork, the foundation, everything, only to have, I mean, in my situation, these people have gone on to become my competitors, to like try to tarnish and ruin my reputation. You know what I mean?
I have partners that done that, and recently too, I looked at an Instagram post, said all type, didn't say my name or the company name, but literally it's a competitor talking all type of shit. I'm like, man, get the fuck on. If you ain't say it directly to me, whatever, but still they do shit like that.
And that's really painful too, because like I'm a mom, right? And so I'm like, if you were trying to ruin my life, now you're fucking with my kid. And
I'm gonna fuck you up.
See, mom, see now when Mama Bear enters the chat, you better run. Because now you're bringing out like the fierce Trinidadian, like, bitch. Right. Seriously, like
now you got me fucked up. This is my livelihood.
This is my livelihood. Like, why, and I never fucked with your livelihood, because though you did not do your work,
you still got paid. You know what's crazy though? You had a lot of people on W-4. Because I had a lot of people on like 1099.
I had 1099s.
You know what's crazy? I was looking, like, and I learned in the Goldman Sachs thing, I was looking at that 1099 shit on a deeper level or whatever. You're not even supposed to train people on a 1099. And they're supposed to come through the door with the skill set already or whatever. So when it came down to my shit being ruined and my money being low, I stopped paying people. So I'm pretty sure I got some motherfuckers out in the world like, well, she don't pay. Well, you were a contractor and you didn't do your job. So because you didn't do your job, I deducted the money that I lost from it. And I spoke to a lawyer about it, and she told me I was okay with it. She's like, don't give them a fucking dime, because that is how contracting works. If you don't do it, and I did pay some people, but the ones that cost me, like ones that cost me a lawsuit, ones that cost me extra money, I deducted that shit from their last payment, and they were like in the negative, so they didn't get shit.
Yeah. Well, girl, I needed to talk to your lawyer, because I have a situation right now in full transparency, a 1099 that went to the Department of Labor on me. Right now, let me give you some numbers, because
this, I'm like, it's a contract position. Like,
okay, and imagine paying someone. Now, y'all gonna be like, something wrong with her. You hear this? Imagine paying someone within a 6-month span over $60,000.
$10,000 a month. Holy shit!
Check the math.
Okay, $10,000 a month.
Now,
one person.
$10,000.
That's a fucking lot. Okay.
And they only billed $7,000 worth of work. and then have the audacity to go to the labor department when I relinquished you of your services, because what was I getting?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
How does that even work?
The math doesn't math in the situation. But I mean, let me just tell you that everybody that I have had like on my team that I have given salaries to, I have no return on my investment from not one single individual. And now they have gone on to be my competitors and to tarnish my name and whatever, but and this is like the first time I'm, opening up about this stuff, because I think what we do too is like, I've been suffering in silence, right?
Yeah.
Like they're loud about the shit, like,
Yeah.
blah, blah,
So
blah,
I think
Google reviews and this
man,
and that. And
girl, first of all, fuck Google for not being able to, like, and I put some things, Google business and whatever they write, that's fine. Do not fucking say my fucking name on there or mention me, because that is bullying. That's abuse. Comment whatever you want to comment about the business, but when you get to talking about me personally, I can report it as abuse on Google, but then they won't take it down. So it's like, this person is allowed, is okay to just bully me on a public website and nothing is done about it. And I just think that that's just fucked up. I do not fuck with Google like that. They always calling me talking about updates this. No, fuck y'all, because I don't like the way that is, because that is not fair.
No, it's not fair. Yeah, no, and they
don't tell the whole story. They tell their side of the story.
No, of course,
which is great.
No,
yeah, unless 100%. You respond.
Can I tell you? Let me give y'all okay, because we're gonna talk about this, because I feel I have been suffering silently about it, and my physical and mental health have been, at risk as a result of all of this. So someone made a review on Google. Now listen to this. This is a model, right? And she was instructed by a former woman that worked for me to write a review on Google that says, these reviews are fake. They made us write the reviews in front of them. Who is the they? Because the they wasn't me.
Right.
The they is the woman who's telling her to write the review. You understand what I'm saying? Right? And I'm like, are y'all that freaking delusional?
No.
Like the levels, but this is what I'm saying. Like, when we talk about, like, it's great, it's amazing, it's so beautiful, we can build legacy, we can do all of these things by starting our own businesses, but the price that you pay, the things that it comes with, like, people don't talk about that. I mean, like, who's out here talking about how to structure your business where you can have W-2s versus 1099s. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, those are real things. It's all gravy to jump in head first and say, I'm an entrepreneur.
And I got an LLC.
Get you a little LLC, a little S Corp.
Until that shit hit the fan, then what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do when that shit hits the fan? How do you develop problem-solving skills? But on top of problem-solving skills, solution-oriented skills where it doesn't fucking break you.
Yes.
Like the whole, like the not sleeping at night, the fucking crying, I mean, I was going through all the shit in my business at the same time as a fucking breakup. And the breakup and that shit, New York got that fucking squatter rights bullshit. He don't want to get out the house. So I'm suffering in my home. And I'm suffering in my business. There is no space for me where there is peace, because over here they talking shit, they got these lawsuits, they got Google. Over here you calling me names, I'm being emotionally abused on this side, and it's just like, where the fuck somebody can lose their fucking mind? Like, you can literally, in that type of space, lose your mind if your head is not together.
No,
I had to go home. I went to Chicago. I said, I gotta lay in my mother's bed. I gotta go back to my roots. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going home. I didn't go home for long. I went home, honestly, like maybe like 10 days, like a week. I stayed at my mom's house for a little while. I stayed with my best friend. I stayed with my sister. I hung out with my grandmother. I'm like, I needed to come
get around those that love
you.
Yes,
and like, fuck work. I didn't do no work that whole 10 days. It was the summer, which we're not that busy in the summer anyway. My team said they can handle it. I'm like, I need to go home. I gotta go home. I'm like, I gotta go home. I just gotta be around my family, and that way when I come back, I can come back just like, I'm too sad right now. I'm too depressed right now. I need something that's gonna lift my fucking spirit so I don't fuck nobody up, because it's gonna be one person. You know, like what's
Girl.
that? Like if I was driving road rage and they just got me on the wrong day and
Yes.
you on the ramp.
Hello.
I was on the verge of a break. I mean, I did have a couple breakdowns in there, but
Yeah.
that going home for that week and a half really was exactly what I needed. And I
Yeah.
started therapy, and it's crazy because I ran into a girl, and I'm like, everything happens for a reason. I was at a
Absolutely.
breakfast restaurant with my best friend, and I ran into a girl that I wanted to be my therapist years ago, but she told me she couldn't because they didn't take out of state insurance. So
Mhm.
after she couldn't take, I just kind of gave up on it, and I didn't go to therapy from anyone. I ran into her at a breakfast restaurant. She's like, "Oh, did I tell you I got my own company now? I got my own practice." I was like, "No." I was like, "I'm gonna call you as soon as I get back," and I've been in therapy ever since. But I had to go home,
Yeah.
randomly be in a restaurant, see her for her to
Yeah.
tell me she had her own practice,
Yeah.
and then I get in therapy, which that trip was it. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it saves you for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
this year, I really, I mean, I suffered. I felt like I was suffering in silence for a lot of it, and then I had to say, you know what? I put in too much time, effort, and energy into this to like go out like this. So I started calling on my friends,
Mhm.
and like my community of sisters, they just came together. I mean, I was saying to someone the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, I cried so much this year. I cried so much. Um, and but sometimes they were in really fabulous places. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, but this
Right.
is a great view.
Right.
Wow. Like, oh, this Prosecco is amazing,
This is beautiful. I know the
Um,
feeling.
so, and to your point, yeah, it's like you know, really having people like my family. I mean, I'm really private, and I don't even think my family knows what I do. To be honest, like it's like, oh yeah, you do something in modeling, whatever.
Same
Like,
here. My family has no fucking clue what I
and I
do.
remember like
Well, some of them.
talking to my aunt, because I lost my. I mean, when I tell you it snowballs, like my business partner pulled out, then I ended up, like having to the staff, everything. It just like everything that you can think about, just like
Went to shit.
went to shit. Like,
That's a segment. Went to shit.
yeah, it went to shit. Okay. And so, I was absorbing all of that, taking all of that in, like putting it on myself,
Mhm.
and I just had to get to a place to say, you didn't know what you didn't know. But I tell people all the time that, of course, we know you're human and you make errors. But one thing I know about myself is that I always try to fix things.
Mhm.
Like, I will be the first to come to the table and say, okay, how can I fix this? And I can confidently own that and be secure in that. So I had to keep going back to that. Like, as it was going to shit, guess what? I was in Goldman.
That's perfect. And as we end into segment 3, we're going to talk a little bit about Goldman Sachs. Segment 3, which is our final segment, is called It's the Muse. We're both graduates, I like to say alumni of the Goldman Sachs program, 10,000 Small Businesses. I would say they really did help me learn a lot about myself as a business owner. I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely expressive. But that's Goldman Sachs talk.
Yes. I was trying to
Definitely,
remember that the other day. I'm
yeah.
like, what am I again? I'm not
You
a
know, I'm like,
driver. I'm
I'm
expressive.
expressive. So tell me outside of like Goldman Sachs and like what you learned in there, what has continued to push you forward? Because you was in that program right in the height of a lot of shit, just like you
Yes.
said, snowballing. So what is something that is just keeps you motivated? It could be a book that you got, a mantra, an affirmation, something that you learned that you just want to share with someone with, if this was to ever happen to another entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that keeps me going is that, my faith, right? Like, I'm super connected to faith. And in this time, I feel like I've prayed more than I've ever prayed in my life. I'm like, God,
Show me the
yeah.
way.
I'm like, Father, you must hear my cries, hear my pleas. I am begging, Um, what But, I'm connected to the fact that I know ever since I was a little girl that I'm destined for greatness. Like, there's just something that I feel like it's like knit together in the fiber of my being.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I'm like, I'm going to keep going to see, if I get there, right? Because if I stop, and I can do many things, right? So I had to also realize that I'm more than strut.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's something that I created, and I can create that anywhere else.
Tenfold.
With it did like it I am that,
Right.
and so no matter whatever else I do, with more resources and knowledge and expertise and scars and battle tested, right?
Makes you stronger.
Yeah, I can come out stronger. And also, I'm a mom, it was such a beautiful experience for me to have my son be in the office and see, me working. I mean, he, on several occasions, he would say to me, Mom, when you die, am I going to take this over? Like, I'm going to be the boss. I mean, imagine he's 8 now, but, and we pivoted into being a full service agency when he was like around 4.
Nice.
So him coming into the office, growing, being there to the point where he's like, I want a card. I can scout. I know what you're looking for. So when we go out, he'll be like, give me a scouting card, and so for that, I keep going because I have to show up for him.
Absolutely.
And then I'm just a student. What all of this has taught me, like I said, is that I'm not just one thing, and I've been many other things. I mean, even I have been married, I've been divorced, and so I'm having, had this great agency and it be in a redirection phase right now. I've learned that I can do more things, I can be multiple things, because wherever I go, I'm going to give my best.
Absolutely.
I'm going to inject like the Shaw effect, as my cousin coins it, and that goes with me wherever. And now it's about just diversifying, and we don't have to be one thing. And yes, I've poured so much time and energy into creating the agency, and I think it's purposeful. I'm still
Absolutely.
committed to that, purpose.
Absolutely.
How it plays out and what it looks like is not up to me. But that's the other thing that keeps me going, is that I know that this work is purposeful, and I am so passionate about it. It's like the essence of who I am. It's doing work in the modeling industry, ensuring that when I'm done with it, it's going to be changed. It will operate differently, it will look a lot differently, and I can create a way for others to come in. That's going to happen whether I'm running Strut or I'm somewhere else. Whatever I'm doing, the work that have done and will continue to do is going to have impact. How that's all going to transpire, I don't know.
God gonna order your steps.
Yeah.
So if you just want to tell people how to get in contact with you, how to follow you, of course I'm going to put all this information in the show notes, but how do we get in contact with you, Shaw?
Yeah, so I can be found on all social media platforms at Strut with Shaw. Okay. And we can go from there.
Yes. So are you open right now to partnerships, collaborations, all that stuff, right?
Absolutely. Always open to partnerships and collaborations.
All right, no, that's right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the Black and Fashion Podcast.
Yay,
it was great having you here. I love having raw, uncut conversations.
Yes.
So this is great. As I always say, people, stay Black. Peace out.